Is going on, everybody? We got a call review today. We have an SDR calling to set a meeting for an account executive. She sells a prospecting software for sales and engineering leadership. And she does not book this meeting, but I have already listened to this. So we're going to go through it and see what she can do well and see what she can do better.
This is Drew.
Hey Drew, good afternoon. My name's I'm calling with. How are you doing?
Kind of fast.
Okay. With who?
With sure you get a lot of sales calls, which I don't know if that's going to make you want to slam the phone down or give me 30 seconds, but is a leading prospecting company.
Okay, so everything was a little bit out of order there. If she wanted to say, "How are you doing?" I would change that to "How have you been?" It's a little bit more of like a pattern interrupt, establishes some familiarity. Then she goes into saying, "I don't know if that one makes you slam your phone down or if that makes you want to take 30 seconds. We are a leading prospecting company." You just want to leave it at the 30 seconds if you're going to do that. It's a question, it's a permission based opener. But she adds, "We're a leading prospecting company" at the end because the guy didn't know what the company was. What I do give props to her for is pushing through and actually continuing with the call rather than just sitting and saying the company name and then not adding any clarity or context to what's going on, because sometimes the prospects are like, "Okay, I haven't heard of you." So
Okay.
Have you heard of us before?
No. I mean, maybe I saw something on LinkedIn, but I don't know.
maybe on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Like you say, I get a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah. So how are you doing? Can I take 30 seconds? Have you heard of us before? We already know that he hasn't heard of us after the first question. So now we've asked 3 questions. In a cold call, you should only expect that you get 3 questions total before someone actually hangs up the phone with you. So at this point, we've already basically wasted 3. We have 1 more till this guy is probably going to give us an objection.
So I'll keep it very brief. I see you're the vice president of sales
I'll keep it brief. I love that. I do that all the time.
and engineering. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you don't need to confirm the title with someone that high up. You just assume they are that, and if they're not that, then they'll tell you. You always want to assume the name, and you also want to assume the title of the person you're calling. Because if I called you and I said, "Hey, is this Brad?" "Yeah, this is Brad. Who is this?" "Hey, this is Ethan." "Hey, Brad, are you still the manager over at XYZ company?" "Yeah." Like, that means I'm going down a list here of people that I don't know and I'm trying to confirm. That's what it feels like to the prospect. That's why you hang up the phone anytime you get a call from a telemarketer, because they always ask you what your name is, and they always ask, "Can I speak to whatever your name is?" The reality is you should just assume this is the person that you're talking to and get straight to the point of how you can help this specific title and this specific person. We have to act, at least, even if we don't have their LinkedIn actually pulled up or we can't find their LinkedIn, we have to act like we know this person.
Wonderful. So we're typically
Don't need to say wonderful. It's not wonderful. They have the problems. You got to help this person.
invited in by that your industry, and to be honest, it might not be that you're struggling with one of the following problems, or it could be that they're trying to get in front of more people, so they're not sitting down with enough decision makers. Another problem that some people face is it could be that they're getting in front of the right kinds of people, but they're not getting enough quality conversations, which leads to a lackluster pipeline. Or some problems are, it could be that they have a dream list of clients they've always wanted to work with, but they're not sure where to start. So I've got a feeling that none of those problems exist in your world. Is that correct?
So I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to do what I kind of like to call like a polar opposite question, which is you're trying to get them to defend a situation that you know that they have, but you ask it in a way that's a little bit sneaky, but it doesn't come off in this tone. It doesn't come off in this part of it because it's too long. So she says, you either have the right people, not enough conversations, you don't have the right people, but you have the conversations, or you have a dream list of clients, but you don't know where to start. That A is too many things at like the beginning of the call. We talk about cognitive load. Like if this person isn't seeing this on a presentation, they're trying to like remember everything you said. Like even I had to re-listen to this and remember everything she said. So you have to keep it short. I would never do 3 problems if you're going to do it that way. I would do 2 tops, and I would do your 2 top problems. And for these, I would keep them the first 2, but it doesn't feel real to this person. And you're kind of just saying words that we're all in sales, so we know this. We're kind of just like saying words that would be written on, again, the marketing website. And if it sounds like it came off the website, then it's probably not something you should say. So a better way I would say this is, hey, I would imagine, just from the people that I speak to at your level, that you're probably focused on either making sure you have the right people at the decision making, or the right people who are the decision makers during your conversations, and making sure that you have enough conversations to actually convert pipeline. You're probably going to tell me that you have both perfectly solved. And then that's where they say, no, obviously we don't have everything perfectly solved, because people are always dealing with those 2 things. So at that point, you would be like, cool. If you don't have this perfectly solved, tell me more about that. You would probe, clarify, get the actual problem that they are facing around it, so you can gain some leverage for your pitch. But this person says, no, we aren't facing those problems. A, because he didn't really know what she was saying, or because everybody does, right? Or B, it didn't feel like a priority because it just feels like a sales call. So he goes, no, I have some other problems that I have to get ahead of.
Perfect.
I've got some different problems than that, but at this point in time, I've got some other ships I've got to write. So I appreciate the reach out, but at this point, I'm not interested in adding another tool when I've got some other fundamentals I got to fix. So
Okay, so first of all, that's when I was telling you guys, that was question number 4. That's all you should expect. So if she had gotten 1 to 2 to 3 really, really good questions before she lands her pitch, we would not be at this point. We would have at least gotten, if we did get a brush off, we would have been able to overcome it. But this is really the last one you get. This is the last straw. Anything after this is going to be pushing it. So what this guy is saying, though, is that this is not a problem big enough to solve right now. The reason that he feels that way is because it either is true, for some reason, pipeline and conversations with decision makers is not a priority, or for some reason, he did not actually fully understand what this person can help with, because she did not add a thoughtful perspective that actually felt real to this guy, with a combination of tonality and feeling kind of scripted and a little bit long. So, what you can do to avoid this is, again, in the beginning, if you do the thing where you're like, I'd imagine you have 2 of these things perfectly solved, right? And they go, no, of course not. You probe, or what you can do is you can add on a so what to the end of your engagement question. What I mean by that is that you always add the bottom line thing that everybody cares about, whether that's revenue, reducing risk, saving time for the people above the line, or above, below the line, making them look better, saving them time in their day to day, making their job easier, or again, like some emotional outcome. So for that, you would be like, I'd imagine, just from the people that I speak to, that you're either looking to get more decision makers at the table, or once you actually do have those decision makers at the table, you're trying to get enough conversations to get like consistent pipeline, so that you can actually maintain revenue and not have to deal with all of the conversations I'm sure you have every single day. Or is this the part where you tell me that you have everything 100% perfect and you've never been barraged about your pipeline? Then they literally can't say that that's a problem not worth solving, because that's a problem that everybody faces. So when you put the so what at the end of it, if they tell you this isn't a priority, you go, okay, just so I can understand, or just so I can help, what about driving consistent pipeline so you can hit target this month isn't a priority to you? Just so I can help, because I'm a little bit in the dark here, or I'm a little bit confused. Can you help me see? Can you unpack that for me? Walk me through what you're thinking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, how about we keep it super simple? And would you be willing just to do a 15-minute meeting to learn a little bit more about our platform and outreach?
If you want to put a trigger on to follow up with me in like 3 months, I might be in a different spot. But right now, I just honestly don't have capacity. So
Don't have capacity in 3 months, I might be in a different spot. Well, I'm sure that whatever he's trying to solve is probably not going to be done in 3 months. And it also doesn't mean that he can't take a meeting. But we just haven't made this problem seem big enough for him to solve because we haven't tied it back to the end goal. Because right now, the end goal is conversations with decision makers and the conversations for to prevent lackluster pipeline. Those are like the things that he feels like aren't a priority, but the reality is the bottom line is revenue. That's what he's always trying to solve.
Completely understand that. Not even to put 15 minutes on just to see if it'll help, like if it's something that you're
honestly,
down the road.
Okay. So I wouldn't say not even 15 minutes in case you want to explore something like this down the road. When we talk about asking for the meeting 3 times, which by the way, your booking rate skyrockets after asking 3 times. I think after one time, it's around like 40% of the meetings booked are one time. It's like 70% are 2 times and 85% are 3 times. Something clicks in the prospect's mind after 3 times where they just never give you an objection in the first place, or at least that's what it seems. Because it's so uncomfortable. And that's our job, is to push through discomfort so that we can help these people. But for this specific situation, we want to keep lowering the barrier to a meeting and increasing the value every time we ask. So we want to add something different they'll get every time we ask, and we want to lower the barrier every time we ask. So for example, the first time you say, hey, would you be opposed, or are you opposed to taking 15 minutes just to see what this even looks like, knowing that you probably are solving something around revenue, just because it would be super atypical for you not to be facing these issues that I literally talk to people to solve every single day around pipeline and revenue, just to see what's up. Something like that. Again, that wasn't perfect. Then they say, no, I'm okay. I don't want to, I'm really okay. Okay, because here's the thing, and I'll just be honest with you. Most people don't even really understand what I'm talking about over the phone, because I know you didn't want this cold call. I know I don't want to make these cold calls. It's much more interesting if I can actually share my screen. And then what we'll do is we'll show you the top 3 things that I just mentioned to you on the phone in person and show you the data behind it. We can even do an analysis for you. How does that sound? No, I'm really not interested, but like I appreciate it. Okay. Well, I know you're going to hate me for asking a third time, but what if I send you a text of a link that actually goes over this, just so you have it in your back pocket? And then if you have your calendar handy, we can look at something like Wednesday afternoon next week. How does that sound? And then typically they fold after the third time for some random reason. But you see how I'm adding something different every time I ask, and I'm also asking like I'm lowering the barrier to entry, like I'm pushing it off. I'm just sharing my screen. Hey, you don't even have to buy. So that's what I talk about when we ask multiple times.
like I say, right now I know it's a non-starter because there's no time. So that maybe looks better after the first year, but right now it doesn't. So.
All right, I'll put you on for January.
Great.
All right, you have a wonderful day, Drew.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. This person was a little upset because it felt like a little bit combative at the end, like not even 15 minutes. So we can obviously just acknowledge and empathize with this guy that he's busy, but it would be good to understand what he's busy with, because there's a chance that we can fit into it, but he just hasn't checked this out yet. So overall, I would say what was really good about this is that the person was persistent. They kept momentum. I would say like momentum in the sense that they got everything they needed, except for essentially the pitch. But what I would say needs to improve is just feeling like a little bit more natural, playful conversation, like if we're talking to a friend, and adding again a more thoughtful perspective in the beginning that ties to like a big problem, not just listing off 3 things and seeing if any of them land. And if you're going to do it in a humorous way, actually like adding humor into it and adding a little bit of laughter and things like that, because there was some sarcasm with I'd imagine you're not actually facing any of these, right? So this was overall maybe like a 4 out of 10. This person can improve, but great call to review.